Ever felt like someone you love is just ignoring you? That's the silent treatment. Unfortunately, the pain of this kind of treatment can have a lasting effect on relationships, especially for those with an avoidant attachment style. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into the 5 noteworthy effects of silent treatment on avoidance. Understanding the impact is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. Let's first dig into what an avoidant attachment style is. We all have an attachment style, and there are 4 main types. People with a secure attachment style usually thrive in their connections with others. They tend to feel safe and stable with their partners and other relationships. Then there's the anxious, preoccupied type. They're always worried about being left behind and can feel anxious and clingy in relationships. Next, there's the fearful, avoidant type. These people are known for their hot and cold attachment style. They can be pretty unpredictable because they fear both abandonment and intimacy. This often leads them to seek closeness to someone, but then push that person away when it's reciprocated. Finally, let's talk about the dismissive avoidant, which is our focus in this video. People with this attachment style have a deep fear of commitment. This is usually because they've experienced emotional neglect during childhood. Those experiences they've had can make intimacy feel pretty scary. As such, they tend to shy away from being vulnerable or forming deep connections. This also shows conflict hits dismissive avoidance differently compared to other attachment styles. To be precise, avoidants take conflict to heart more than you might expect. This takes a bigger toll on them compared to those with other attachment styles, not just because of their limited emotional bandwidth or unmet needs, but also due to the way they handle conflict. Speaking of conflict, dismissive avoidants hate it because it makes them feel emotionally insecure. They often feel better when given some space, especially if there's a conflict or challenges in the relationship. They might decide to steer clear of relationships altogether to dodge the potential conflicts they know can arise anytime. So now, let's talk about how the silent treatment particularly impacts them. Number 1, they have mixed feelings about the person and the relationship. The silent treatment can lead to mixed emotions for the avoidant. On the one hand, they might enjoy taking a break from the person, but on the other hand, they can soon feel that they really miss their partner. Think about it this way. There are big hurdles avoidants face in getting support, like being hesitant to open up, share their real needs, or lean on others. So, they find some satisfaction when they get the space they crave with the silent treatment they're experiencing, even if it's with their partner. But there's a bit of a paradox here. Even though they experience some benefits from the silent treatment, they also end up missing the person who pulled away from them. You see, after thinking things through and feeling less worried about the consequences of the conflict, like financial loss, they start to develop some emotional bandwidth to think and reflect on things. That's when they realize just how much they miss the relationship, including the dynamics and perks that come with it. This internal conflict causes them to second-guess their decisions, gradually eroding their confidence to handle the silent treatment over time. Number 2, they feel relieved. Most people find the silent treatment unsettling, but for avoidance, it might actually be a welcome break. As we mentioned earlier, avoidants usually fear commitment and intimacy. The emotions and expectations that come with relationships often overwhelm them, especially when there's conflict or tension between them and another person. So, getting some space through the silent treatment can bring a sense of relief. They might actually feel relieved when there's some distance between them and the other person. Just to clarify, it's not because they don't care about that person. Rather, it's because it eases their fears and helps them avoid dealing with the conflict they're experiencing. Basically, the relief they feel comes not from the idea that they won't face that person, but it's from the idea of getting away from the stressful situations and conflicts that cause the silent treatment. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, a quick like and subscribe is a small way to show your support and help the channel grow. Number 3, They'll question or even regret the situation. It's not just the mixed feelings we talked about earlier. It's a mix of questioning and regret involving the situation, often with a bit of repression thrown in. If you could chart the emotions of someone who's avoidant, it'd start with them feeling super independent, and as we mentioned previously, a wave of relief. But when they get to the point where they miss being with the person or start questioning their decision, things can get pretty tricky. You see, as time goes on, they start second-guessing their feelings and end up with regrets. They might wonder what could have been different between them and the other person, or if they should have handled things differently. They may even think about whether ending the silent treatment would have made things better. To deal with those questions and regrets, they end up pushing their emotions down again. Repression is their way of getting back that sense of space and safety they experienced before. Number 4, they experience a greater sense of independence. When given the silent treatment, avoidants usually become more proactive and thrive in their independence. This is because self-reliance makes them feel safe, certain, and in control of the situation. That's why you'll often hear them say things like, "I can control my actions, but I can't predict how others will behave." The truth? Deep down, they have a strong sense of powerlessness. They're feeling out of control or helpless in the relationship, which is why they put so much effort into staying self-sufficient. It's their way of dealing with the silent treatment. Think about it. Imagine growing up without much guidance on how relationships work or understanding the give and take between two people. If you've been taught that everyone mostly looks out for themselves and you've felt some neglect in your relationships, the idea of sharing needs, emotions, and forming connections can feel pretty unfamiliar and tough. For avoidants, this can feel like a foreign language. That's why when they experience the silent treatment, they often think, "Okay, I've got control back," and might retreat into a heightened sense of independence. They'll focus more on their self-sufficiency, taking care of their own needs instead of resolving the conflict with the other person. Number 5, they'll attempt to reconnect with the other person. Even though they might like the independence that comes with giving the silent treatment, avoidants can eventually want to reconnect with the other person. There might be a time when an avoidant starts trying to reach out to them again. Yup, they'll break that silent treatment. It's important to know that when an avoidant tries to reconnect with someone, it might not be super obvious to the other person. So, that person probably won't hear direct stuff like, "I want to reconnect with you. Let's talk. I miss you," or "I'm sorry. Can we fix things and start over?" Instead, they'll probably go for a subtler approach. For instance, they might send you a meme on social media, text you a funny joke, or kick off a casual chat with a lighthearted message. This roundabout way is often their go-to to reconnect, because being vulnerable isn't easy for an avoidant. They tend to act indirectly when they're trying to reconnect with someone. This is because they avoid letting themselves be too vulnerable. And to them, being honest and open about their feelings is the opposite of that. Sometimes, avoidants try to reconnect more expressively. They might start conversations, suggest hanging out, or share personal stories. But even with these gestures, the truth is that they still hold back due to not wanting to be vulnerable. And if you like this video, check out these related videos to dive deeper into attachment styles. Don't forget to hit like. It helps the algorithm show you more content like this.